Hey you. What's going on? Are you looking for a vlog about why NATO hasn't imposed a no-fly zone in Ukraine? If that is so, then this vlog is what you've been looking for and I'm gonna reshare it to you, right now. But first, let's have a big shout out to all of you guys who relentlessly support my channel. Thank you very much for your support, guys. Having said that, let's answer the question why NATO hasn't imposed a no-fly zone in Ukraine. To answer this question, first things first, we must understand what is NATO and why hasn't it imposed a no-fly zone in Ukraine. The thing is, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is an international alliance that consists of 30 member states from Europe, North America, and Asia. It was established at the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty on 4 April 1949. Article 5 of the treaty states that if an armed attack occurs against one of the member states, it shall be considered an attack against all members, and other members shall assist the attacked member, with armed forces if necessary. The 30 member countries of NATO met in Belgium on Friday to discuss its next steps in Ukraine. Diplomatic efforts have failed to end chaos in Ukraine, 8 days after President Putin ordered Russian troops to invade. The situation inside Ukraine seems unlikely to improve anytime soon. Despite the bleak situation on the ground, NATO is not willing to get directly involved in the conflict, including setting up a no-fly zone, beyond supporting Ukraine's resistance to an invasion that is killing innocent civilians. NATO's Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, said on Friday that a no-fly zone over Ukraine is not an option being considered by the alliance. We've agreed that we should not have NATO planes operating over Ukrainian airspace or NATO troops on Ukrainian territory, he said. What is the original purpose of establishing NATO then? The thing is, it was established to protect the West from the threat posed by the Soviet Union. Since the end of the Cold War, many former Soviet nations have joined NATO, much to the annoyance of Russian President Vladimir Putin. What is a no-fly zone? Guys, a no-fly zone is an area where certain aircraft cannot fly for any number of reasons. In the context of a conflict such as the one happening in Ukraine, it would probably mean a zone in which Russian planes were not allowed to fly, to prevent them from carrying out airstrikes against Ukraine. NATO has imposed no-fly zones in non-member countries before, including Bosnia and Libya. However, it is always a controversial move because it means getting semi-involved in a conflict without fully committing ground forces. What would happen if NATO imposed a no-fly zone? The problem with military no-fly zones is that they have to be enforced by military power. If a Russian aircraft flew into a NATO no-fly zone, then NATO forces would have to take action against that aircraft. Those measures could include shooting the plane from the sky. That would, in Russia's eyes, be an act of war by NATO and would likely escalate the conflict. Why hasn't NATO imposed a no-fly zone? Neither Ukraine nor Russia is a member of NATO. Putin clearly sees NATO as a direct threat to his authority and has recently criticized its expansion toward Russia, using it as justification for his invasion of Ukraine. As a result, NATO is extremely reluctant to become directly involved in the Ukraine conflict with a rival nuclear power. While it supports Ukraine's resistance and recognizes Putin's actions as an invasion of a sovereign nation, the alliance is simply not prepared to do anything that could be interpreted as a direct act of war on Russia and risk an escalation that could lead to the use of nuclear weapons. Why does Russia feel threatened by NATO then? Putin has long believed that Russia got a bad deal after the breakup of the Soviet Union, something he has called the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century. He has complained that NATO has, over time, expanded its borders by admitting Eastern European countries that were once part of the Soviet Union, meaning Russia now shares a land border with the world's largest military alliance, thus reducing his geopolitical power in what was once Moscow's sphere of influence. As recently as February, he was demanding that NATO scaled back to the borders of 1997, before the Baltic nations of Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia, the latter two of which border Russia, joined the alliance. Guys, do you agree that NATO should not impose a no-fly zone on Ukraine? Kindly write your response in the comments section and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this vlog, and thank you very much for supporting my channel. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Cheers.